If you want to listen to this episode or any of our episodes ad-free, you can do that now. Head on over to Patreon. Click on the ad-free level. You get all of our bonus shows that you've been hearing so much about. Plus, every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you can listen to this episode or any of our other episodes at the same time, ad-free, over on Patreon. Welcome back to this chat with Kathryn Edwards. We are talking about this whole season of Salt Lake City, giving special shout outs to Mary Cosby, who I feel has had one of the rawest, realest seasons, not just for, everything going on with Robert Jr., but I really love this scene between her and Angie. I also was affected by this moment between Dorit and Garcelle, which I thought was real, on Beverly Hills. I'm still predicting Garcelle and Dorit. I'm just seeing it. I'm seeing a friendship coming around. But anyway, I digress. Stay tuned for this chat with Kathryn Edwards, talking all about Mary Cosby and all that she's gone through this season. Welcome back, Mary, with Robert Jr. Part 1 aired last Monday. Check it out. And now part 2. And we really need to get Kathryn back. She's back traveling the world. I gotta try Kathryn back, maybe for the finale of Beverly Hills. Maybe we could all DM her and get her back. We love Kathryn. Stay tuned. Enjoy. Happy Monday. Enjoy.
I don't know. Back to Mary's kid. I hope he finds a good group. I hope he finds a good sponsor, whoever, and I hope he does get with someone who he can call when he's in a place where he needs someone, that he forms a good relationship with a sponsor who can talk him through things at times. Because to say that cross myself and knock wood, I hope that he doesn't go back down that road, but to think that he doesn't ever fall off the wagon again is probably not so realistic. And if he does, I just hope that he has a good support system, and for her as well. I hope she has a great support system around her. I actually sent her a message on idea. I don't know her. I know nothing. That's not my thing at all. But after I saw that, I was like, I'm just going to send her a message, just encouraging her and say something nice to her. And who knows if she sees any of it, but I just,
Did you say I'm a former housewife too? And, I've had this situation in my family.
I said, I didn't say who I am, she should know me, but I just said I did one. And I said, the reason why I referenced it at all is because 6 weeks after one of my nephews died was our reunion show.
I remember.
I was in no headspace for any of that. It was, I didn't care about any of it. I remember sitting there just thinking, this is the stupidest thing to sit here and talk about Munchausen when they all know it was just a dumb storyline and Yolanda does not have Munchausen. That was just a stupid storyline because there was nothing else to talk about. And I just remember thinking, I can't do this. I couldn't even follow what they were saying. I would just go off and my mind was just thinking about my family and my nephew and how bad the situation was and my brother and how was he. And yeah, and I have to snap back into it and act like I had something to say. I was interested.
I remember that. Right. It's right. You're these real problems here, people.
Yeah. Crazy.
I remember you at the reunion. Were you on the same season as Eden? Was that season? Eden says
no. She was after me. Yeah.
Because she's had her. That they've dealt with these issues before. It's just and with Kim, but not look. I feel they could have done a lot more with Kim throughout the years. Not to use her, but just to really get under the hood of the car of everything is not okay. They touched upon it, but in a dramatic way, right? They didn't touch upon it in a real way.
Well, I mean, and I may be wrong, but I always kind of got the feeling that she didn't want to air that out on the show. Like every time she was back, she was in a good place, and she was sober, and her life was
Right.
together, and you know, it nobody, and I get it. I mean, it's that's a broken person that's living in the place of addiction. Nobody wants to be, and I don't think people in general want people's pity. Nobody wants to be the victim. Nobody wants to be the one that everyone has to figure out how they're going to help and get straight. It's awful. But yeah, I
And
mean,
And they did,
that's,
the first season when, Kyle's in, the thing and, you stole my goddamn house. And, no one knew at that time what we were talking about, but like, they
yeah.
never, right. But I'm sure they didn't want it, but I'm telling you, I worry about Kim now too, because I told you, like, it comes up in interviews and what are they going to say? But Kathy and Kyle are just like, she's good. And they change the subject as they should. What are they going to tell a media journalist what's going on? But it just seems weird to me. That's, she has kids and everything. I get
She's,
it.
yeah,
I have I don't know. I don't know why I'm
she's,
so.
I mean, yeah. And well, no, Kathy's the older one, I think. But the bottom
Yeah.
line is that she's not a kid. Nobody's mothering her. You know what I mean? She's an adult, and it's not really their story to tell. You know what I mean? Whereas Mary and Robert Jr., that's a mother-son relationship where he's living in her home. She's still mothering him, clearly. Yeah, it's a little bit of a different situation. You could tell he still needs his mom.
It has to be hard though if he has a wife that is in, she's still in.
Come
You
on,
know,
what kind of situation is this? I mean, even when they told her, and I just half listened to that. I don't know what I was doing around the house when that was on. And I did hear that they got married, and Mary was like, "Huh? You're
yeah,
married? Like, give me
yeah.
a break." I mean, this isn't a wife that he's taking care of. This isn't, they're living in Mary's house or whatever it is. She didn't even know that they were married. Like, yeah, this is not a traditional marriage.
No, but I mean, it
These are,
has to be
yeah,
hard. Like, if you really are committed to your sobriety, and like, yes, it's one day at a time. And like you said, to think that everything is solved from a month, be aware that it probably isn't. It just has to be even harder. Like, if someone else is on like a different journey, the same journey, but like a different timeline, that's got to be a like, I can't
well,
let this person bring me over here. If you're, I'm making up a backstory, but like if he really is committed and out and it's like his struggle's going
yeah.
well and hers isn't, you got to just really, that's like a whole nother, right? Like to your point,
Yeah,
almost like, don't screw this up because of someone else's story. I don't know.
right.
It's like life and death, truly.
And that's always the thing with someone who's an addict and is sober, to be in a relationship. And you saw that with PK and Dorit when they went out to lunch, and he w ordered a non-alcoholic beer or whatever. And she said, "Do you mind if I have a drink?" Because for someone who's really fighting it, maybe they cannot be with someone that they smell the alcohol, whatever that is, right? I don't know. But, for a 21-year-old kid, if he's sober and then his wife
Yeah.
isn't, she falls off the wagon. I mean, yeah, that's, uh, it's so much to unpack. And I just pray for them. I hope that they can be strong together. And I hope that, he's not so deep in his addiction that he has a really far way to crawl out, because that's you know there this is another thing that I read when it was all going on. Depending upon how long you're addicted, how much of it's taken a hold in your body, and what the brain, all of the dopamines and everything that the brain releases with the drugs. It has a lot to do with how difficult the battle is for you. And someone that's been addicted for a really long period of time has a very, very hard time of staying sober.
And you don't agree with Jill Zarin's daughter, Ali Shapiro, who said, like, being a former housewife kid, this will stay with him forever. I don't think that this should have been. on the show.
Sobriety's going to stay with him forever. He's never living it down. He's never going to, you know what I mean? Like if he goes somewhere, and granted, he doesn't have to share his story, but if you say, no, I'm not having a drink, no, I'm not doing drugs with you, it is what it is. And it has to stop being like he's going to have to live with this forever. Yeah, 100% right. He is going to have to live with this forever. Yep, that's exactly right. And he shouldn't be ashamed of it.
All of a sudden, every skincare I see is talking about peptides. I'm seeing them everywhere. And listen, just because something says peptide on the label doesn't mean it actually is doing anything for you. I've been using OneSkin forever, and OneSkin's OS1 peptide is different. While some peptides just sit on the top of the skin, the OS1 goes deeper. It's scientifically formulated to penetrate the cells within skin's deeper layers. The OS1 peptide helps with hydration and collagen production. Hello? Everyone always asks me why I look younger than I am. It's OneSkin. I swear by their OS1 face. It's my favorite product. But OneSkin also has SPF, stuff for the eye and body. Founded and led by an all-women team of skin longevity scientists, OneSkin is redefining the aging process. With their proprietary OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to help skin look, feel, and behave like its younger self. Get 15% off with code VELVET at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code VELVET. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you.
And that's the part for me when I hear someone like that talking about it. It's like, sit down. You know, you obviously don't have an idea. And honestly, for me, listening to him talk, a lot of it in what I heard, I shouldn't say a lot of it, the little bit that I heard him say, my feeling is that he was battling depression and went to the drugs to make himself feel better. And, you know, it goes like this. And yeah, so for someone like her to say like, oh, I'm a housewife kid too, like how many seasons has Mary been on, and how much have we even seen Robert Jr.? Nothing. It's not like this is hard for him and he's, you know, Housewives has been a rough way for him to come up. You know what I mean? Yeah, sorry. I just felt like that was like, I don't think she's coming from a place of a lot of knowledge with regard to what she's talking about.
That makes sense. And Mary also said on Watch What Happens when she was on that which Andy seemed shocked about, like she's relied on Robert Sr. I don't know if they're estranged or he's just not. She said, like, she was like, of course, like, I mean, I needed him to step in and, you know, also be involved in this. I don't know why Andy sounds so shocked about that.
Is Robert, and correct me again if I'm wrong, and I could be very wrong, and I don't want to say anything that people are gonna be like, oh, how could she say that? But yeah. is Robert Sr. a fan? Like, is that her grandfather?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's her grandfather or step grandfather. Yeah, something like it. People are going to be okay.
Not her blood, though.
People are going to be okay with you not knowing it. They're not going to be okay with me not knowing it. They're going to say, give us your card. We want your job. How dare you have this job if you don't know these facts? I don't know. Is it her?
It's something. I think I remember.
It's definitely her grandfather, but I think it's her step grandfather.
It's not her blood. Is he the father? He's the father of Robert Jr., right?
Married her late grandmother's, second husband, who is her step grandfather. So we were right.
Okay. And is he the father? Is he the biological father of Robert Jr.?
That is a really good. Oh, Marion. Isn't Google just a wonderful thing?
Yeah.
Marion, I mean, because it's Robert Sr. and Robert Jr., but Stranger Things, Mary and Robert have a teenage son together. I mean, this is not a teenage. They have a partnership more than a romantic relationship. Oh. Yes. I mean, you know, I think that
But that's his son. That's his son.
That's his son. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's just because, you know, it's more of like a partnership and, you know, than anything else.
Has he ever been on the show?
Yeah. In the beginning, he was on because, you know, her storyline the first season really was like, you married your step grandfather. Like, what are we watching?
Okay, that's why I think I remember
what is
that.
This?
Yeah.
You know, it was a whole thing with like the church. I think she wanted to take over the church. I'm not saying that's why she married him, but it was one of these things where her mother wanted to marry the guy instead of her. I mean, this is Salt Lake, Catherine. And so I guess her mother wanted to marry her mother's husband, second husband, but I think it was all to take over the church. Whoever married
Okay.
him was the leader of the church.
Okay.
Yep. Mary
Okay.
said she didn't want to marry Robert. She obeyed her grandmother. Her grandmother wanted her to marry this guy. Gets more interesting. But I mean, I remember these things I knew at the time, but who can keep all this straight? I mean, I remember it. But her grandmother wanted Mary to take her place and marry Robert to ensure he'd be taken care of after she died.
Mm.
And she didn't want to, but she obeyed the grandmother, and then she took over the church.
Okay.
Yep. So this is his son. So he was definitely on the show a bunch in the beginning, and I just think he's not really, I mean, where he lives, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, then there were other seasons later on where he would come in and go and she would roll her eyes and be like, "Hi,
Oh,
great to see you for the first time." And I mean, it seems like a bigger house, right? You get bigger houses there in Salt Lake for your money. It seems like a big house where he could be living there in a different part of the house. I don't know. Or I don't know if he lives like down the
yeah.
street, but it just seems like it's not LA or New York where the things tend to be. I mean, granted, Beverly Hills, the houses are huge, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their story is. But
Mm.
yeah, there you go. But I hope I agree and you got to feel for her too, right? Like this is because you could have shied away and not show. Like I mean, right? Like I almost disagree with Ali too. Like I think you. I mean, I don't know. What do people want? Everyone spends all day saying that we don't get to see any of the real stuff going on the TV, and why didn't we see this, and why didn't we see that, and this person's a mess off air. Why can't we see that? So here we go. We're seeing it.
Well, yeah, you're seeing it, and that's real life. And honestly, that's something that I think that the viewers need to talk about, and I think that, well, I think that Bravo needs to talk about it. That's really what I should say, is that Bravo needs to share that. If they have that ability, and obviously Mary and her son shared it, then they, I think, have an obligation to air it.
I think at the reunion too, like I don't know if we'll see it anymore. Like I'm sure it's going to come up again at the reunion. They'll check in and ask how he's doing, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you said though about Lori Peterson with Josh. I
Hmm.
mean, not to compare the two, but because you can't, but right, like he had moments where he was great. He was doing well, and so
That's
it's
it.
right.
Yeah, it's never, I mean, that's the hardest part, I think, because my other nephew that took his life, I mean, he started when he was 17 and in and out of rehab. He was good, and then he wasn't, and then he was, and then he wasn't. And he had like some real, like, where he was totally back good. But the battle is every day. So
Hmm.
even when you're good and everybody, and you're smiling, and and you're going to work and you have your life back, you know, just because that person isn't telling you, God, I 10 times today I wanted to use so bad and it almost broke me. But I have to keep smiling and act like I've got it all together and I'm holding it down, because that's what everyone wants to see from me. And that's what I need to keep functioning in a normal society. That's not how I feel inside. And it gets to be so big for those people that someday they do crack, and they do, reuse, and then they're off the wagon, and they're just right back down this horrible rabbit hole, and now they've got to go through sobriety again. And I remember my one nephew, the one that took his life, said when he started, like, when, because I would talk to him at length about it, like, why did you start using again? You had this many days of sobriety. And I remember him even telling me, I lied. I was telling you guys that I was, but I started using again, after this many days, but I was just doing so little. And I really felt like I had it under control. And he would tell me this, you know, and then, one weekend he used more than the normal amount of something, where he had it under control. And definitely that night he was not in control, but then the craving for it got so much bigger that he always wanted that high again. And that's it. And you think that you're you're handling it, but you're not. And that's why it really is an all or none. Like you just can never go back.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't a drinker. Like he didn't drink. It was just freaking drugs.
Yeah. I, well, like you say, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, 22 years and then one day,
Yeah.
which, I mean, you can't, I mean, you could retrace the day, but I mean, I don't know. You can analyze it all day, right? Like it's not
And
necessarily one thing that happens that sends you there.
no, and and the thing is, heroin is illegal in this country. And if you're buying heroin off the street, you don't know if there's fentanyl in there. And now the thing is fentanyl's
That's the
in
thing.
so many things because it's so highly, highly addictive that, from what I heard, you use it once and that's it. You're done. Like you want it again.
Do you guys want the fastest working GLP ones? You know, the weight loss shots for half the list price of those auto injector pens? Well, Ro has got you. That's right. Ro now offers FDA approved weight loss vials for half the list price of those auto injector pens. I only wish I had access to Ro when I started my GLP 1 weight loss journey. At Ro, they'll help you understand if the GLP 1s are right for you and your weight loss goals. And they're so supportive throughout the process. I also love that you can sign up from the comfort of your own home. You don't have to wait around for an in-person appointment with a doctor. It's faster weight loss for cheaper. And their formula helps you not only curb hunger, but with less nausea. But don't take my word for it. Join over 385,000 people who have already chosen Ro to access GLP-1s. Go to ro.co/velvet to see if you qualify. That's ro.co/velvet. Go to ro.co/safety for boxed warning and full safety information about GLP-1 medications. Half the list price when compared to auto-injector pens and when paying cash without applying insurance or savings cards.
And it's just, yeah. I don't know, David. I hope Mary is and Robert Jr. really turn to each other, and God bless that she has a strong faith. And I hope that, she can, you know, bring that out more in him. And, because really that's all you have when you get to that point, that's it. Something's got to be bigger than yourself.
That's why I thought this scene was so,
Yeah.
because she is praying and she's like, God gave you today. I mean, I'm not religious, but I understand it. She's like, God gave you today. Like, this is a gift. So
Yeah.
let's just take this today and just one day at a time, which is what it
That's,
is.
yeah. Yeah. It's tough. I mean, and if they decide that they don't want to talk about it or share it anymore, I mean, that's good for them too. You know what I mean? They have to do what's right for them. They have to do what makes sense for them. And however, there's no obligation for them to publicly share what they're going through if they don't want to. But if they do, I think that it's important that the people that need to see it do see it.
I think so.
Yeah.
See, I'm glad you talked about this.
It's heady and it's heavy and it's depressing. I mean, especially when you have, because even when you and I are talking, and we say things, I have so many things that come up in my mind that I don't say because it makes me feel something. And it's the same for everyone. You know what I mean? There's so many more people that are affected by it, and it doesn't go away.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
You
sucks.
know, it does suck.
Yeah.
It does suck. This is why I can sympathize with you at the reunion because I say things like this here all the time. Like, I'm not getting into it with this troll or that troll, Team Melissa, team. Like, this is a
Yeah.
job. Like, I mean, your reunion view is my view of life. Of like, I mean, do people realize I mean, the latest thing, I mean, I'm not jumping all over the place, but like that, that CEO of United Healthcare shut down.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, like,
Shit.
so, I mean, there's just, right? Like, there's real life stuff. And I would venture to say 98% of the people that are listening to this right now are going through something. Many this exact issue.
Life. Yeah.
And so we turn to these things to escape. Look, I think it's great that they're dealing with it. I'm just saying, like, when it turns toxic, it's like, I understand being committed to the cause, but this can't really be the hill you want to die on. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it can't really be that serious. Team Melissa or Dorit, like, this can't. Team Kyle or Dorit, like, we can talk about it. Sure, that's what we do here. We can
Yeah.
have, but this can't really be. You can't really take this to bed at night, can you? Can you? Because
No, no.
there's real. I don't know. I hope no. I hope people don't. I hope, and you know what? Maybe if you
But trust,
do,
there are people that do.
right. There's trust that people that do. And you know what? Maybe good for them. Maybe there really is nothing else. Maybe there is no drug addiction in their family. There is no suicide. There is no depression. There is no, homelessness. You're not paying your mortgage. You're about to be like, maybe you don't have any real problems. And your real problem is Team Teresa Giudice or Melissa Gorga. And this really is the hill you are going to die on. And
Oh,
that, you know what? I guess bravo, like good for you, but nobody gets
yeah.
out of this life unscathed, So at some point, it is going to be a real situation in life. And so I just hope that when those, I mean, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making any sense now, but you know what I
No,
mean?
you're
Like,
100% right. The only thing there is to say is for everybody, and there's some people that would rather talk about someone else's problems than to look at their own, and I guess the only thing that I would say to everybody is fight the good fight. You know what I mean? You know the truth. When you lay your head on the pillow at night, you know what's real and what's not, and fight the good fight every day.
I say that all the time. Like, I talk about these issues on the show all the time. And also, I think when you lay your head on the pillow and like, I understand, we watch the show, people say things in Housewives, everybody lies. But to me, it's like, don't lie to yourself. Like, I'm very a self-aware person. That's my thing. Like,
Right,
when I'm being a bitch, oh, I know it. When I'm being
right,
difficult, I know. So just that's the thing. When you're lying on that pillow at night, just there's no right or wrong. Just be honest with yourself. Just
right,
if you know something's off or like, right, like don't just be honest because So just
right.
be
And
honest.
own it, and own it, and try to do better tomorrow.
And if you think something's going on with someone, it probably is. Like, people don't second question your intuition. Like, right?
No,
It's there for, I
yeah,
think, especially when you're a parent or it's a family member, you kind of know,
you know, yeah.
right?
That's why I said Mary. I think Mary knew. Mary knew. She just wasn't. It's hard though. Yeah. The thing is when you're broken and sometimes what it's going to take to fix it, it's a lot. You know what I mean? For
Hmm.
some people, depending upon how broken they are, and the fix is like a really big thing, like where you have to change everything about yourself. That's
Right.
that, and some people are not ever going to do it, and it's just in this lifetime, they're that's who they are. Again, wish them well and keep them out of your close circle, because that's nobody needs to be around that, I don't think.
No. And I honestly think also, I mean, since I'm acting like maybe I'm acting like I do know it all here today, but even though I said I didn't, like, what's my like, if you I think people live the lives they want, right? So if you have a friend who's like, oh my God, and I'm mad at her, and the boyfriend, and there's all this drama, it's like this person enjoys drama in their life, which is a lot of people. You don't, I don't, like, we don't, right? Like, I think if you have that in your life, you want it there.
I think that sometimes though, with some I think that for me, I was born into a kind of a crazy family, and there was always drama in my household because of my father's addiction and alcoholism and everything. And that was just what I grew up in, and I thought that was normal. And then when I was married my first time, and there was levels of drama in the relationship, not fighting or alcoholism or any of those things, but just other dysfunctional behavior, right? You normalize everything. And then I got to a point where, like, I said to myself, wait a minute, I don't want this. This is not the life I want to live. I want to have peace. I don't want to, question, respect and loyalty and all of these things. And then I changed myself so I could attract that same energy in someone else. And that's the thing. And I think a lot of people don't know that they're living in craziness and in drama because that's all they know.
Yeah, it's called repetition compulsion.
There you go.
That's what it's called. Now, I've been to therapy for 2 seconds, like 25,000 years ago, and I was there for a minute, and then I pieced out because I was like, this ain't for me anymore.
I got this. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I would go every week and I would say something and then it would be like, you don't seem that bothers you. I'm like, it doesn't bother me. And so eventually after being told, we don't need to talk about this if it doesn't bother you, the whole point is to talk about things that bother you. I'm like, well, you basically spent like, right, 2 months telling me. And then of course it was like, what do you mean you're leaving? Wait, no, we're just getting started. I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't, no,
this is
no,
done.
thank you. Right. Like you're going to now make 1,000 problems for me. I'm good. But it is called repetition compulsion. It's like what
there you go.
know. And then, you feel that that's what you deserve because it's what you know. And yeah, it's breaking the habit. And when you really see, I agree with you. Like I used to be way more dramatic in my younger age. And then one day you're just like, wait a second, like, I'm bringing this on myself. Like, and I'm not saying it's easy. Like you don't see things when you're in them, but one day, if you are lucky, you just get it. And you're like, oh no, like you're either for me or you're against me. And like, I don't want the drama. I don't want to work it out. Like, it's just, I'm all about peace, man. Like,
same.
Right. Because there are real issues like this. And that's what I'm good at. Like I tell people, call me with a real issue. I will be there for you. I just bought a new pair of shoes from Adidas through the Rakuten app. You know Rakuten, right? It's the smartest way to save money when you shop. Why? Because you earn cash back at over 3,500 stores. Fashion, beauty, electronics, home essentials, travel, dining, concert tickets. I can keep going. Rakuten works with them all. Your favorite stores like Macy's, Bloomingdale's, Petco, Sephora pay Rakuten to send them shoppers. And Rakuten then passes on a part of that payment to its members as cash back. The cash back is deposited directly into your PayPal account, or they can send you a check. You're already shopping at your favorite store, so why not save while doing so? To me, it's a no-brainer. And membership is free and it's easy to sign up. And it's so much fun. You could even maximize your savings by stacking cash back on top of other deals like store sales and coupons. So what are you waiting for? Get the Rakuten app now and join the 17 million members who are already saving. Cashback rates change daily. See Rakuten.com for details. That's Rakuten. Your cashback really adds up. I needed to hire an editor at the beginning of this year to help with this podcast, and I needed to hire them really fast. I have to tell you, Indeed helped immensely. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. So stop struggling to try to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast, like I did with my editor. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page. And it really does make a difference. Do you know that sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45 more applications than non-sponsored jobs? I wonder why I hired so quickly. And I love that with Indeed sponsored jobs, there are no monthly subscriptions and no long-term contracts. I'm not into any of that. You only pay for your results. So look, there's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/velvet. Just go to Indeed.com/velvet right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/velvet. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. Call me because, you're mad that you waited at, Daniel Boulud, one of the hardest restaurants to get into in New York City, where it's a gazillion dollars and you could afford it. And your boyfriend was 3 hours, 20 minutes late. I don't want to actually hear this. Like, I don't care. Like, this is not a problem here. So,
but that would piss me off. No.
See, I'm like good like that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with you can cancel on me at any time.
Same.
And I'm okay if, look, if you're an hour late, I'm probably not going to be there. I probably will have left. Thank you very much. Yeah. But I'm okay with like 20 minutes. But I'm also good. I think good at I'm never late, so it's never going to be me.
Same.
I'm 5 minutes
I try
late
very hard not to be.
Yeah, me too. It's
Yeah.
rude. After 20 minutes, it's like this is
Right.
this is
I'm
on
with you.
purpose. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you could have been here on time. This is not an excuse anymore. You're like
You
an
clearly
adult.
don't respect my time.
Correct. Well, like
Yeah.
Mary and Meredith, when Mary was
Yeah.
late, Meredith is like, what is this? I mean,
Yeah.
listen, well, this is why I tell you in the real world, people don't believe me because they love the housewives, they watch the housewives, and they're like, you were friends with so and so. I'm not you. I mean, there's a rare exception. I'm like,
Right.
trust me, like when you actually try to be friends with certain of these people, like I don't want it. I avoid it. I am like people think I make this up, and I'm like it's not. Like it sounds great until you're actually what you see on the TV is normally the person in real life. There's drama, and I mean I won't even get into how many people you're sitting there having a drink with that are just beyond rude to wait staff. Like they're up
Oh,
here.
that's my
Yeah,
pet peeve of life.
most.
I
I mean
cannot.
most of these housewives that I have been out with,
Mm.
I it's not so nice to the wait staff. Not so
Wow.
nice on a
That
whole,
is like the worst. That is really one of my biggest like don'ts.
right?
I cannot take that.
And
No.
also, like, I'm like a happy person. Like, if I walk in and I have a dinner reservation at 8 and they're like, the table's not ready, just have a drink at the bar. Honestly, great. It's not ready till 8:40, I mean, unless I have somewhere to go, but usually I
Right.
don't. I'm like, okay,
No
I
problem.
mean, I have a
I'll
martini in
have a
my hand. Right. I'm
martini.
at the bar, so the table's 40 minutes late. Wow, that went really fast. Like, what the hell do I care? I've been out, these,
Yeah.
how dare you, and this and that. And
Oh
you're just like,
God.
right. You're like, oh, like, really?
Yeah.
So, it's you don't want to be friends with these
No.
women. You just don't.
No.
It really there's rare exceptions, but not most, not most.
No.
There's lateness, there's rudeness, there's just like you're like, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Like I don't speak to wait staff this way. Like I'm actually embarrassed." Like,
I have some friends in San Diego that don't talk nice to wait staff, and it's really difficult for me when we go out because I'm constantly apologizing for
me
them,
too.
and it's yeah, I don't like that.
I have one friend who there's like a bunch of us that know this person. I would say like say there's like 10 people that know this one person, at least 8 are like, no, what are you doing?
Won't
Like
go out with them.
they will not. It's like a non-starter. They will not have a meal with him anymore. He has a boyfriend. He can go hang out with his boyfriend, but they're
Yeah,
like, we will never go. And they're really serious. They're like, we will not sit at a table with him.
isn't that
And
terrible?
I'm like,
That's
I
awful.
one step away from you. I have like a high tolerance for crazy people,
Will you
apparently.
tell him? Will you tell him like, hey, you're being rude, or you don't think he'd receive it?
I
I
don't think
mean,
it would. I think it would like fall on
yeah.
deaf ears. Like he wouldn't. But it's
Mm.
like right today. He's like, "We've asked you for bread 3 times," and I'm like, oh God, I'm so embarrassed." Like,
Oh,
yeah, no,
and
it
that's why
gets
you're not getting it.
right. I'm like, oh God, this is. Please don't spit in
Oh,
my drink. Yeah, I'm like,
yeah,
I'm constantly apologizing,
yeah.
or I'll just like look at my phone and be like, "Oh my God, get me the fuck
Oh,
out of here."
mortified.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Like it's. I don't know. I never get upset about those things ever. It's like. I mean, listen, the only thing that upsets me is like, normally if I feel it, I will then say it because I'm a New Yorker, and I'm usually not wrong. Like if you're rude, like if you're now rude and I'm sensing, which is very rare, like I'm sensing you're actually rude for some reason, I
right.
will snap.
Ask
Then
like
then I
what?
snap.
Yeah,
Right. I'll be like, is there a problem? Like then I'll snap and I'll be a total New Yorker and then I'm the embarrassing one. But that happens I mean, it has to be a
right,
real attitude, not like the typical LA, like
right.
move
I
to the
agree.
sides. Like it has to be a real, like, what is your problem here today?
Donnie and I were, this is a well, more than 5 years ago. We were in Vegas and we were at a very, very nice restaurant in Las Vegas. And we had a female waitress, and we were a party of probably 12, so a big table. And we were in the private room, and we were guests of the owner of the restaurant. And the female waitress was being so rude to Donnie, for no reason. Like he didn't do anything, nothing happened. And uh I said something to her like, "Excuse me, why are you talking to him like that? Like what's wrong? Like what did what's the problem?" And she's just like, "I'm not saying anything," like really, really rude. I literally got up and went and got the manager and the owner and said, our whole entire private room needs a new waitress.
Good for
And
you.
and they did it. And I felt like I was really being difficult to do that, but it
Yeah.
was that bad. And that was the only time I think I've ever, had a big issue. But yeah, I don't think that you need to treat people like that. That bothers me immensely.
And you were probably like, for me, it's like I snap, and you were probably way nicer than me. Like I would have gone up and been
No, I
like,
didn't snap. I just like had her replaced like quick.
I would have been like, we're not eating. I do not want this. Like, I would have lost. Like, I just lose it and I see red. Now, mind you, I
Yeah.
get over things within seconds. Then, if
Yeah.
once I get what
Done.
I want, I'm fine. Then there would have been someone new and I would have been like, this is great. We're having a great night. I wouldn't like belabor the
Right.
point. But
No.
for me to snap though, I'm usually not wrong. Like, it's usually like, I'm not a crazy person. You don't have to kiss my ass. You don't have to
Yeah.
kiss the ring. If I feel like you're just, what's going on here? I'm like,
Yeah.
this is
Then it's
not
it.
okay. Like now I'm
No.
pissed off. You know
Yeah.
how it is. Oh, see,
Anyway.
we can do a podcast. You and I could do just a podcast about non-housewives. Like we have a
Yeah.
lot to say. Trust me, I say all the time in my next life, I would love to just come back and just do a I don't know if I would call it a self-help podcast, but just life
Yeah.
is so simple, people, if you just see it a certain way.
Totally. It's true though. It really is true. Do unto others as you'd have others do unto you. It's that simple. The golden
Yeah.
rule.
Yeah. And if you have your health, physical health and mental health. I mean, look, do I love money? Yes, I do. I'm going to be honest. But let's put that aside. If you have your physical and mental health, you're there. There's
You can go
no
make
problem.
money.
Like when
Yeah.
Mary says, like, today is a gift, like it is true. Like I practice what I preach.
Yes.
Like if you have the physical and mental health today is a good day. I don't care what happens. There ain't no
I
problem
think
here.
that's some of those feelings I think come a little bit, I don't say later in life, but not
Yeah.
everyone realizes it, as young as they could. That's like the one thing I would just tell. I always like want to say to the youth, like, don't sweat the
Mm-hmm.
small stuff. Trust me, the things that bother you right now mean nothing. And you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna, when you get to my age, understand like, oh God, why did I stress about that?
I
But
think I realized it earlier than most because I think some people never get there. But
right.
I mean, trust me, not like early. I'm not like a spring chicken here myself. Like, yeah, I wouldn't go back to my 20s for all the money in the world,
No.
but yeah, like you just wanna say, listen, it's a true statement when they say, like, what is it? They say youth is wasted on the young, or is that what the
Yeah.
statement? Like, it's just you can't preach to someone, but I'm like, I get it, but like, trust me, like, man, like Cher says, because she's like the best advice my mother ever told me. She's like, she just had her memoir release. She's like, say this to yourself when something happens. If it won't matter in 5 years, it doesn't matter now. I'm like,
That's
that's
right.
true. I
Yeah.
would even shorten that period of time, like, but
Right.
it's
It's true.
true. Like if someone you love passes away, like we're talking about, yes, that matters. That's an actual big thing. If you go to a doctor and you're diagnosed with something serious, yes, that matters in 5 years. This other shit, you're not even going to remember this in five
No.
days. Like, just
No.
get over it. Get
Right.
over it. So I don't know. I have this like a bit, but I agree. I'm not professing to know everything. It happened later in life. I don't know how. It just one day you just are like, I get it. I get it. Nothing bothers
Yeah.
me anymore. It's not even just
Yeah.
a statement. It's like a real way of life. And kind of once you're there, you just want to be surrounded by that type of
Likewise.
happy
Yeah.
person. Like, I
Yeah.
just want to be like this person that is rude to the waitstaff. My other friend calls him an energy vampire because he has other
Yes.
issues too. And I'm like, that's right. That's what I said. I'm like, oh my God, this is it. I'm going to steal this. I've never heard this, but I love this. He's an energy vampire. I'm like, yeah. Like, I don't care. I
I
just want to be around happy people, just like happy.
I wonder sometimes, like, to bring it back to the housewives, because you know, I was laying in bed last night and I like got my little laptop out and I could, look at the latest Beverly Hills, because I knew I was going to be talking to you if there was anything good that happened. Um, but I was watching the dinner, oh, Kathy's dinner, and it was like the thing between Kyle and Dorit and everything. And I thought, just that they're all sitting there, and every time they go into a table situation where, you know, they're sitting there and they all, you know, are going to be at this place for 2 hours, and they know something has to happen, or it's a boring shot and we didn't get anything that we can air. And really, sometimes when you don't have an issue with anybody, but you got to pull it out of the clouds, that's hard.
Because they'll say,
and some of them are better
we're
than
not
others.
going, because they'll say, like, we're not going home. This is boring. Somebody do
Yep.
something.
Somebody do something. That's exactly right. Somebody do something. This is boring.
And then somebody sitting at that table says to themselves, I can't fucking take this. My husband's texting
I want to
me.
go home.
Right.
Right.
And they're
Yeah,
like,
I'm done. Like,
because
let's go.
because nobody wants to do it. Like, you sit there, Garcelle's like, please do something.
Oh.
Sutton's like, Kyle, nobody wants to be the one, but eventually somebody will snap and be like, I actually can't take this. I haven't eaten in 5 hours. My husband's asking where I am. I have to go to the bathroom. My dog hasn't seen me. Like, I'm going to be the one.
I'm done. I'm cold, whatever. Yeah. I would rather be in my hotel room in bed right now. Yes. And it was, I thought about that when, Dorit and Boz,
yeah,
we're talking, and they were having like the little conversation, and the other one, like, what are they talking about? And it's like, you're at a table. Could you imagine if, like, at a real dinner table, if there were two people having a discussion that the other people decided, like, why are we not included in your conversation? That would not happen in real life. How rude would you be that you would try to, like, butt into someone's personal conversation? You wouldn't. But this is what has to be said and done on the Housewives. And I wonder if people, when they're watching it, like, think to themselves, oh, that's true. I never would, you know, stick my head into somebody's private conversation and say, why aren't we included in this?
And this is why this simple little thing, now we have a follow-up scene. Now this is the thing. Yep. We have then they're like, okay, we're going to run with this for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Until hopefully something bigger, better comes out. Yeah.
That's how we have a whole season, as you say, of Munchausen's. Thank you, Lisa Rinna. It's like, thank you, Lisa Rinna, or thank you, Lisa Rinna. Like, which is it? Like, there's no dinner where we're waiting for something to get. This is why they loved her. They loved her. There ain't no clear. It's Lisa's like, well,
remember, she tried to blame that though, and she tried to pin that on Vanderpump though, and said that Vanderpump was the one that really, that was, you know, doing the puppet strings and made her do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, hindsight's always 2020. I'm gonna go get down to the village.
It looks amazing. Sorry I kept you so long again. Listen, I could talk to you for days. I could talk to you for hours. I know, we could go
on and on. We have to just do it more often.
We have to do it more often, season, really.
We will. You're going to
watch.
Yes, I am.
We'll revisit Mary stuff, and keep watching like little clips of Beverly Hills, because we'll do it. Because, you know, trust me, everybody's going to be happy. Yours is going to be multiple parts. People are going to get a bunch of Kathryn for a while.
You're so sweet.
And you said someone came up to you somewhere and said, I love you on David's podcast.
Yes, a very loyal Behind the Velvet Rope watcher and loves it. And people. And honestly, that was the impetus for me to like text you and say, oh my God, we have to talk.
Well, thank you to whoever that was. Again, people, we have no problems, but there are guests I have on that are like, this one loves, you are truly like, I can't think of anyone. I think it's 100%. Like, no one has anything. Everyone loves you because you're smart and level-headed, and you're just, they love our analysis. They just love it. So.
They can. I think we should do like where people can send in questions like, how would you handle this? And we'll respond.
Send your questions, DM, absolutely. How would David and Kathryn handle this? Yeah, all right, tell Donnie I said hi. Sorry to keep you.
I will.
Very much appreciated. I think this was good.
Love it. Yeah, I do too. Sorry I got a little emotional about it, but I do feel strongly and I can't help it.
Don't be sorry. And sorry that I put you in a situation to bring up these emotions. I'll tell him I'm sorry that I kept you.
Oh, he's fine. All right, sweetie. Mwah, big kiss.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye, sweets. Bye. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Thanks for listening to yet another episode of Behind the Velvet Rope. Because without you listeners, I would just be a crazy person with voices in my head. And if you like what you hear, subscribe on Apple Podcasts under Behind the Velvet Rope. And when you're done subscribing, feel free to leave a 5-star write-up review. because the write-up reviews actually count. We read each and every one of them. We post the best ones, and the reviews really help our shows keep going, and we really appreciate everything you guys say, especially the positive ones. And if you want to find us online, we're at Behind Velvet Rope on Instagram. We are at David Yontef on Instagram. We're Behind the Velvet Rope on Apple Podcasts. Or head on over to Patreon, because you know what? There are just some things we can't talk about here. So for our bonus episodes, go to Patreon and type in Behind the Velvet Rope. And if you still aren't sick of me and you want more David, go to Cameo and book me on Cameo. And you can ask me anything there. I'll answer whatever you want. And I have a bargain basement price of $10. Thank you guys. See you soon.